You've been told since you graduated that the ultimate proof of your value is the name of the company printed on your business card, that climbing their internal ladder is the only logical trajectory for your ambition, and that dedication to their goals will automatically secure your financial independence. You think that by optimizing your performance within their ecosystem, you are building an impenetrable professional fortress. We are conditioned to believe that the corporation is a benevolent partner in our career development. But as you look at your phone at 7 o'clock on a Sunday evening, feeling that distinct heavy pit of dread in your stomach about a project deadline that doesn't even belong to you, you need to realize that internal optimization is a form of gilded confinement. The truth is, inside the company walls, your value is constantly being depreciated by structural dependencies you cannot control. You are trading your rarest asset, your finite time, for a fixed stream of cash and a title that vanishes the moment you walk out the front lobby. True power in the modern economy is never granted through internal alignment. It is accumulated by constructing external mechanisms of leverage that exist entirely outside the legal and psychological custody of your boss. You think it works like this: you work hard, you get promoted, and you gain freedom. But it doesn't. Here's what actually happens. Internal promotions simply increase the weight of your golden handcuffs, making you more dependent on the entity, while the real master strategists are quietly running a parallel execution that ensures their ultimate survival has absolutely nothing to do with the company's permission. Your belief that safety lies in complete organizational immersion is the precise vulnerability that leaves you exposed to sudden macroeconomic shifts, executive whims, and the quiet psychological erosion of your professional agency. Think about the profound, unceasing unfairness of the standard quarterly review cycle. You have spent the last 6 months systematically over-delivering on your operational targets, sacrificing your weekends, and managing a chaotic cross-functional rollout that everyone else was too terrified to touch. You sit down across from your manager, expecting an objective, data-driven validation of your impact. Instead, you are met with a series of vague, subjective shifting of goalposts. You are told that while your output was exceptional, the macro environment is tight, corporate headroom is limited, and the calibration committee decided to normalize the bonuses across the board to protect equity. You watch colleagues who possess a fraction of your technical capability, but an infinite amount of political theater receive the exact advancement you earned. You feel a burning wave of frustration and deep confusion. You realize that no matter how flawlessly you execute your internal duties, your compensation, your trajectory, and your mental health are being filtered through an arbitrary system of corporate allocation. You feel completely misunderstood because you are approaching the company as an honest producer, while the institution is treating you as a highly predictable utility bill that can be trimmed the moment the margins contract. This is where most people get stuck. They respond to this systemic injustice by trying even harder inside the building, sending longer email summaries, attending more optional committees, and attempting to force the organization to appreciate them through sheer compliance. They double down on an isolated system that is mathematically incentivized to extract maximum labor for minimum relative reward. The hidden truth behind why your current trajectory feels so exhausting is that internal competition is structurally rigged against absolute independence. This is the part nobody tells you. Within the perimeter of your employer, you are operating with an asymmetrical information deficit. The leadership team knows exactly what it would cost to replace you. They know your exact financial runway based on your tenure, and they know how much emotional disruption a sudden exit would cause your life. They can read your dependency like an open ledger. When you possess no external leverage, your professional communication is fundamentally a form of begging wrapped in the vocabulary of negotiation. You think that by becoming indispensable to a specific project or platform, you are creating a shield, but you aren't. You are simply creating a target on your back for insecure managers who cannot afford to let an elite producer rise above their own level of administrative control. Here's what actually happens. The moment you become too critical to an internal operation, you are locked into that exact position because moving you would create too much operational friction for your immediate superior. They break your false assumption that competence breeds freedom. In reality, inside an enclosed corporate hierarchy, unhedged competence breeds a permanent assignment to the trenches, while the structural upside is reserved for those who know how to manipulate perception from a distance. Deep office politics is not an isolated game of office gossip or boardroom theatrics. It is a battle for sovereign optionality. Power flows directly to the individual who needs the relationship the least. When you are 100% dependent on a single paycheck, every conversation you have with a director, every project update you deliver, and every boundary you try to establish is loaded with the underlying fear of termination. Human behavior is incredibly sensitive to the subtle chemical sin of professional desperation. People can feel when you cannot afford to say no. They notice when you swallow an insult, when you accept an uncompensated shift in scope, or when you stay silent during an unethical reallocation of credit. This dependency warps your professional aura, transforming you from an elite consultant into an administrative servant. True social dynamics dictate that respect is never generated by your willingness to endure discomfort. It is generated by your visible ability to walk away from the table without blinking. The decision makers in your company do not base their strategic alliances on who is the most loyal worker. They base them on who possesses the highest degree of external gravity. They look at the person who is invited to speak at industry panels, the person who holds independent digital intellectual property, or the person whose network extends deep into competitive ecosystems, and they realize that this individual cannot be managed through traditional intimidation. They are forced to negotiate with them as a peer because the costs of attempting to suppress them are far too high. And this is where the massive reality shift must take place in your psychological framework. You must stop viewing your current employment as a career and start treating it as an angel investor for your private enterprise. Your primary objective is no longer the optimization of their internal metrics for a generic pat on the back. Your objective is the systematic conversion of their corporate resources, their salary, their brand authority, their professional network, and their technological insights into your independent external engine of leverage. You think you're being a good corporate citizen by giving away your absolute best strategic thinking for free in internal Slack channels, but you're actually bankrupting your long-term autonomy. Your current approach isn't working because you are playing a finite game where the rules can be changed by a human resources memo overnight. You have to reframe your understanding of visibility, perception, and strategy entirely. The day you begin to construct external pillars of value while staying safely under the radar of your daily duties is the day you transition from a vulnerable corporate asset into a completely unkillable professional entity. The baseline of this external construction begins with the absolute mastery of your attention arbitrage. You think it works like this. To build something outside, you need to quit your job or take a massive financial risk. But it doesn't. You do it by quietly extracting the hidden margins of your current workday. You stop giving 110% of your cognitive energy to routine administrative procedures that can be executed flawlessly with 40% effort. You become a clinical minimalist with your internal output. You automate your reporting pipelines, you decline meetings that do not have a direct impact on your core survival metrics, and you use the reclaimed mental bandwidth to study the broader industry landscape. When you sit at your desk, you are no longer just filling out spreadsheets for your director. You are mapping out the structural inefficiencies of your entire market sector. You are observing the specific problems your company's clients complain about during casual calls, the gaps in delivery, the outdated software interfaces, the lack of customized advisory services. You are gathering the precise data needed to build your independent positioning, and you are doing it while being fully subsidized by their bi-weekly direct deposit. This structural shift transforms your approach to external information architecture. Instead of spending your evenings browsing entertainment or resting from the emotional exhaustion of your office politics, you begin to systematically document your specialized knowledge in public, independent spaces. You don't use your employer's name, you don't violate your non-disclosure agreements, and you never mention proprietary corporate data. Instead, you speak directly to the archetypal problems of your industry. You publish long-form diagnostic breakdowns on external platforms. You analyze shifting regulatory frameworks on independent channels, and you provide actionable, objective frameworks for complex industry challenges. This is the part nobody tells you. While your colleagues are busy performing for an audience of 5 internal managers who will forget their names in 2 years, your quiet, consistent external broadcasting is building an automated global audience of peers, founders, and headhunters. You are shifting your visibility from a closed loop to an open network. When an executive at a competing firm runs into a massive operational bottleneck, they aren't searching through your company's internal performance reviews. They are searching the open web, and they are finding your definitive guide on how to solve that exact issue. You have created an automated inbound pipeline for your talent while sitting in a routine department meeting. This digital footprint completely alters the gravity of perception back inside your current office. As your external authority grows, the nature of your industry network changes from reactive to proactive. You start receiving quiet, unsolicited invitations to confidential industry dinners, closed-door strategy sessions, and advisory boards. You don't brag about these invitations to your coworkers. You keep them completely secret. But notice how this knowledge changes your internal posture. When your manager attempts to use standard gaslighting tactics during a project alignment meeting, you no longer feel that hot, defensive spike of panic. You look at them with a calm, clinical detachment because you know that your professional validity is currently being verified by people who operate 3 tiers above your manager's pay grade. This internal stillness is deeply unsettling to a corporate bully. They expect a reaction. Instead, they are met with a cool, unshakable poise that signals you possess an alternative reality they cannot see. Your communication becomes incredibly concise, authoritative, and completely devoid of defensive justification. You have managed the void by filling your background with real external alternatives. The construction of relationships under this leverage model moves away from the fragile utility of the company clique. Most people waste their social capital building alliances with peers who are just as dependent and trapped as they are. They spend their lunch hours venting about administrative updates, creating zero long-term value. You change this strategy by focusing entirely on structural connectors, individuals who sit at the intersections of different industries, such as specialized recruiters, venture capitalists, independent founders, and senior alumni who have successfully broken free from the corporate apparatus. You build relationships with these people not by asking them for a job, but by providing them with high-value, unvarnished market intelligence. You send them brief, data-backed insights about operational shifts you are observing on the ground. You become a highly reliable, objective node in their network. This is where most people get stuck. They wait until they are desperate or laid off to build a network, which means their outreach is always tainted with the scent of neediness. By constructing these bridges while you are fully employed, relaxed, and secure, you build genuine long-term capital. You are creating a distributed net of safety that can be activated with a single message if your current organization decides to make an erratic structural shift. As this architecture matures, you naturally introduce the most potent form of leverage, the cultivation of microassets. This means transforming your expertise from a time-bound labor service into a scalable product entity. While still employed, you can develop proprietary frameworks, specialized data trackers, or automated workflow templates that solve persistent, non-proprietary industry pain points. You license these assets quietly through independent digital vehicles, or you use them to provide high-level off-hours advisory services to non-conflicting entities. You think you're just running a small side hustle, but you're actually executing a profound psychological realignment. The moment your bank account receives its first dollar that did not originate from your corporate employer's payroll department, your relationship with the concept of work is rewritten forever. You realize that the corporation does not own the monopoly on your economic survival. You have broken the spell of the single source of truth. This financial diversity changes your risk tolerance inside the office entirely. You become capable of taking strategic political risks that your dependent peers wouldn't dare attempt, such as pushing back on an unrealistic product launch timeline or demanding explicit contractual clarity on your equity allocations. Your external leverage allows you to play a high-status internal game because you are the only one in the room who isn't playing for their survival. Here's what actually happens when you maintain this dual-track strategy for 12 to 18 months. You stop being a participant in the corporate lottery and you become the house. You watch your peers consume themselves with the daily drama of who got copied on which email or who sat next to the senior VP at lunch, and you view it with the amused perspective of an anthropologist. You realize that most corporate anxiety is entirely manufactured to keep the labor force focused inward, preventing them from noticing that the doors to the cage are completely unlocked. Your strategy has allowed you to build a personal brand that is globally accessible, a network that is diversified across multiple competitive ecosystems, and an independent stream of revenue that validates your market worth outside the bounds of an administrative hierarchy. You have achieved visibility without noise, perception without performance, and safety without compliance. The ultimate reality shift is accepting that the most dangerous move you can make in the modern economic landscape is to remain politically and financially monocured. Relying on a single corporation to validate your intelligence, protect your family, and dictate your growth is not loyalty. It is a reckless form of systemic exposure. When you reframe your daily job as a strategic platform rather than an emotional identity, the power dynamic flips entirely. You no longer need the company to give you a promotion to feel successful. You are extracting the structural value of the company every single hour to build your permanent autonomy. You are the sovereign operator of your own career enterprise, and your current employer is simply the client who is paying for the development of your infrastructure. The truth about the corporate matrix is that it cannot tolerate an individual who cannot be frightened. When you build external leverage, you strip the hierarchy of its absolute weapon, the threat of exclusion. You become a self-contained ecosystem of value. You think you're just trying to survive the quarterly review cycle, but you're actually preparing your ultimate emancipation. You work your designated hours with clinical precision, you treat everyone with a polite, distant respect, and you save your highest creative genius for the assets you own. Once you stop looking for validation from a system that is designed to consume you, the entire corporate landscape transforms from a place of anxiety into a landscape of pure strategic opportunity. Reinforce this truth through every interaction you have inside the building. Your value is determined by the open market, not by the specific budget constraints of your immediate director. Create a permanent awareness of your external horizon. Look past the walls of your conference room, past the temporary titles of your leadership team, and focus entirely on the broader industry network that is quietly waiting for your insights. Stop asking for permission to grow and start constructing the architecture that makes their permission completely obsolete. The world does not belong to the ones who wait for the corporate ladder to be lowered to them. It belongs to the ones who quietly build their own crane while standing on the company clock. In the final assessment of corporate power, the ultimate winner is never the employee who stayed the latest to finish someone else's slide deck. It is the silent strategist who used the company's resources to build an external fortress so strong that they can step off the ladder whenever they choose, knowing the ground beneath them is entirely their own.